Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Creative Exchange. We are so excited today, well I am very excited to have the wonderful Kevin Adams, or as I would call him, Kev the Rev. He is an incredible guy. He's going to tell you a little bit more about himself in a minute, but he's mega precious to me and to Di. He has had a huge influence on us in creativity, in our faith journey. He was our pastor growing up. I think his passion for revival was what sowed the seed of passion for revival in Wales in my heart, and I just cannot wait for what we are going to glean from him today. So, Rev, tell us who you are and just a little bit about your kind of life journey up to this point and where you actually are now.
Well, right now I'm in COVID America, and which is fascinating. I've been here for the last 16 and a half years. I came over here to lecture a little on the revival, to push the books and the movie, and ended up falling in love with a church historian. I love church history so much I married a professor of church history. So I live here on the North Shore of Boston, and I'm senior pastor of the East Baptist Church in Lynn. And what else do you want to know? I became a Christian in the 1970s in what I call the silent revival of the 1970s. I became a Christian in 1974. Lots of people became Christians. We didn't call it revival. It's only as we look back that we see that revival really happened there and gave birth to a whole generation of people, now my age obviously, who have been involved in leadership positions all over Wales and sometimes outside Wales. So that's me at the moment. My passions are reading, books, reading, paperbacks, classics, reading, and some books. Yeah, something like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Kev also is the author of this amazing book that I know has gone all the way around the world. And we're going to hear him unpack a little about this in a minute. But Kev, I just want to start, before we get Han to ask some questions, ask you three things. Mm-hmm. What is your favourite book, your favourite film, and music that has influenced you?
Oh, that's very interesting. I have, when it comes to books, I have a canon of my 200 favourite novels, and those are all put together in my office, not this office here, but in my office in Lynn, my church office. So I took 200 in order of my favourites, and at the moment, my favourite novel, at the moment, they change, okay, is Middlemarch by George Eliot. I think that is one of the greatest novels ever written, and that every now and again changes. Sometimes Bleak House gets there and knocks the other one back, and sometimes The Power and the Glory with Steinbeck, which is Steinbeck's incredibly powerful author. So they go back and forth, and every now and again, even Dylan Thomas has been there as well. So they change depending on it, but that at the moment, that's my number one. So if you go into my office, that would be number one, right on the top. And the second thing you asked was what?
What is your favourite film?
Oh, that's easy. It's a very easy one. It's not the best film in the world, but it's my favourite film. I must have seen it 60 to 70 times. And that is Zulu. It came out in 1966. I saw it with my father. I remember going to Llanelli Cinema, seeing it, and outside there was a big Zulu standing there, or someone who looked like a Zulu, whatever. And I've never, ever forgotten that film. I have a copy of it. I watch it regularly. It's about the 24th Regiment of Foot, which were the Welsh regiment who fight off 100 men who fight off 4,000 Zulus. And they sing the great song, Men of Harlech, as they fight the battle. So that is one of the great movies of all time for me. Incredibly, that's me, subjective answer.
Amazing. And what about music, Rev? What music would you say has had a massive influence on you?
Well, the music, I'm not a music guy, believe it or not. I sing. I've got an averagely good voice, but I can't be bothered with it that much. Um, Early on, my music was Welsh traditional music, folk music in 1960s with David Iwan, and I was brought up in Welsh folk. I loved it. You know, I learned the guitar to carlo, you know, protest songs against against Prince Charles becoming Prince of Wales, that sort of thing. Then when I in my early teens, I was into the rock scene at that time. So it was everything from Led Zeppelin to 10 Years After, Pink Floyd. They were really my bands. I loved them very much. And some of the folk scene as well, with Lindisfarne. And these days, do you know, I don't listen to that much music. I've got to be honest with you. It seems um, I I like good music. I like music that moves me. It's got to move me deeply. It's got to touch me from the inside out. So I do like what I do listen to, believe it or not. I listen to Celtic music, which includes Welsh, Irish, and Scottish, because there's plenty of it here on the radio. You get on Saturday if I'm traveling from A to B, I put on Celtic Surgeon, and I do really love Celtic music. It reminds me of home and touches me incredibly deeply. So I love music which is passionate or mystical. I like the word mystical, that touches the very inwardness of your soul. But I'm not big on music, I must admit.
Well, that's absolutely fine, Rev. I mean, with your library, you haven't got time to listen to music,
I
have you?
haven't got time. No, I haven't got time. No.
And just one more question before I give a
Okay.
question to Han. So you were instrumental in my life growing up from, well, I mean, you were my pastor since I was born, really.
Yes.
Till I was 18. And
Yeah.
what you did was, throughout our youth years, you did drama clubs with us. You sowed so many seeds of creativity. And I know that creativity and faith are two of your biggest passions. You wrote so many of the dramas that we went all around Wales with, with the message of the gospel. Why do you love creativity, Kev, in like a sentence or two? And why do you think it works so well in the context of talking about the gospel?
I think a number of so many answers to that, but let me give one answer that I use at the moment with students. I mentor students in the church from the seminary, Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, and we get students there, mentor them, and I tell them I generally mentor them in preaching, how to preach, and what I tell them is this: the greatest heresy for preachers is to be boring. If you're going to bore people's pants off with the truth, that's the worst heresy, because you're making something which is incredibly brilliant dead. You're presenting a live thing as a corpse, and people are there watching a corpse and, you know, rotting for the next half hour, if you like. And so there needs to be creativity in all sorts of things. For me at the moment, my main area of creativity is the actual sermon. I believe that the sermon is an art form. Which needs to be seen in that sense. I'm not a writer. My wife's a writer. She's very good. She can do that. I can't. I can write poetry. I can actually write poetry now, which is unbelievable. I never thought. I started writing poetry about 3.5 years ago, and I've written quite a bit. And I love that. But that's more personal. That's me expressing myself personally. And it's and with poetry, for me, I can express something I can't say. I can say it in different language. And I love that. I just love doing that. Preaching is my main area. Then I don't do drama anymore. But I'm inside. I love those times, the whole drama thing. And one of the reasons I did drama at that time was that Christians were doing drama and boring everyone to death with it. Christian drama in the 1980s, 90s was terrible. It was just terrible. It was badly acted, it was badly done. It wasn't funny, it wasn't incisive. So we wrote things and did things which were on the edge. So my big influence, of course, in writing all the sketches I did was Monty Python's Flying Circus. That was my big influence, and I still watch Monty Python now. I've seen the series time and time again, and what I've discovered is when I watch the series, I think they've copied me. I actually think they've copied me, because so many of my sketches are like Python. I think they must have got that from me. But of course, it's part of me, you know, the dead church sketch based on the dead parrot sketch, which is a very thing, and then the other one about a man coming in to hospital, you know, and he's bleeding all over the floor, and someone's asking him, and your name, please. But I discovered that was a Monty Python sketch, which I didn't know. I'd seen it there. So, you know, creativity is key. If you're not creative, well, you know, and you're all creative in different ways. I'm not creative singing and things like that. I'm not that. But, you know, everyone's got something to be creative about, and you've got to work on it. It's not automatic.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Kev. Thanks so much for sharing that. And we know that, you know, Welsh revival history is a massive part of your heart. And so I'm just going to pass this on to Han now and get her to ask some of the questions that's on her heart. So take it away, Han.
Okay. Yeah. Carry